Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast where we dive into the day's most pressing news stories, providing you with a comprehensive and balanced view of what's happening around the world. I'm your host, Barbara, and I'm excited to share today's top stories with you. We're starting off with a story that's been making waves in the diplomatic community. It appears that the Trump administration has been facing criticism from Western allies over its approach to international relations. According to recent reports, several incidents have strained relationships between the U.S. and its partners, including a public disagreement with France over the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The situation began when French President Emmanuel Macron announced plans to recognize a Palestinian state, which was met with opposition from Israel and the U.S. In response, Jared Kushner's father, Charles Kushner, published an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, alleging that such recognition would embolden extremists and endanger Jewish life in France. The French government took issue with this statement, summoning the U.S. ambassador to express its displeasure. But that's not all. Denmark has also summoned the top U.S. diplomat in the country over reports of covert influence operations in Greenland. It seems that at least 3 individuals with connections to President Trump have been involved in these efforts, which have raised concerns about the U.S.'s intentions regarding the Danish territory. Now, it's essential to note that these incidents are part of a broader context, as the U.S. and China engage in a rivalry for economic superiority. The Trump administration has emphasized the importance of its alliances with Western nations, but some experts argue that its approach may be alienating these very allies. Ivor B. Newman, director of the Fridtjof Nansen Institute, notes that the U.S.'s assets in this rivalry include its numerous allies, whereas China has only one major ally, North Korea. However, if the U.S. continues to pursue policies that alienate its allies, it risks losing their support. We'll continue to monitor these developments and provide you with updates as more information becomes available. In the meantime, we want to hear from you. What do you think about the Trump administration's approach to international relations? Share your thoughts with us on social media using the hashtag of Barbara's Bulletin. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're halfway through our program, and now it's time to dive into a critical situation unfolding in the Middle East. The conflict in Gaza has taken a devastating turn, with reports of a humanitarian crisis worsening by the day. According to recent updates, Israel is planning to slow down or completely halt humanitarian aid into parts of northern Gaza as it expands its military offensive. This move aims to cripple Hamas, but aid groups and international organizations are warning that such actions will only exacerbate the dire situation on the ground. The International Committee of the Red Cross has strongly denounced Israel's plans, stating that a mass evacuation of Gaza City cannot be done safely under current conditions. The organization's president, Mirjana Spoljaric, emphasized that such an evacuation would trigger a massive population movement, which no area in the Gaza Strip can absorb, given the widespread destruction of civilian infrastructure and extreme shortages of food, water, shelter, and medical care. As the situation continues to deteriorate, hundreds of residents have begun leaving Gaza City, with many forced to leave their homes multiple times. The Gaza Health Ministry has reported that 10 people died due to starvation and malnutrition in the past 24 hours, including 3 children. The death toll in Gaza has now surpassed 63,000 people, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. It's essential to acknowledge the complexities of this conflict and the deep-seated concerns of all parties involved. Israel's military has launched an offensive to seize Gaza City, declaring it a dangerous combat zone and alleging that a network of tunnels remains in use despite previous raids. However, international condemnation has been swift, with many calling for a cessation of hostilities and a peaceful resolution to the conflict. As we continue to monitor this developing story, it's crucial to recognize the human cost of the conflict and the need for a balanced approach that prioritizes the protection of civilians and the delivery of humanitarian aid. We will keep a close eye on the situation and provide updates as more information becomes available. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we wrap up today's show, I want to bring you a significant update on a story that's been making headlines in the world of trade and economics. A federal appeals court has ruled that many of President Trump's sweeping tariffs are, in fact, illegal. According to the ruling, the president exceeded his authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, a 1977 statute that allows the president to impose tariffs in times of national emergency. The court found that Trump's argument for declaring a national emergency to justify the tariffs was not supported by the law. This decision has sparked a heated debate, with some arguing that it's a major blow to the president's trade agenda, while others see it as a necessary check on executive power. The White House has already announced plans to appeal the decision to the Supreme Court, so this story is far from over. To give you a sense of the scope of this ruling, it's worth noting that the tariffs in question affect nearly all goods from almost every country importing to the United States. The economic implications are significant, with some warning that removing these tariffs could have a major impact on the U.S. economy. On the other hand, critics of the tariffs argue that they've already caused significant harm to American businesses and consumers, and that their removal would be a welcome relief. As one expert noted, the chaos, the tariffs, so remains, and it's unclear how much of Friday's ruling would affect Trump's tariffs in practical terms. As we consider this complex issue, it's essential to remember that the role of the judiciary is to interpret the law and ensure that it's applied fairly and consistently. In this case, the court has made a clear determination about the limits of presidential power under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. As we move forward, it will be fascinating to see how this story unfolds. Will the Supreme Court uphold the appeals court's decision, or will they rule in favor of the White House? How will this impact the ongoing trade tensions between the U.S. and its global partners? These are all important questions that we'll continue to explore on Barbara's Bulletin. For now, it's clear that this ruling has significant implications for the world of trade and economics, and we'll be keeping a close eye on developments as they happen. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay engaged.